Today was AGM day at Power Metal Resources, and it was a closed meeting under COVID-19 regulations, so we weren't able to open the meeting up to shareholders as we would normally do. AGMs can be a little bit stale, but they do provide the shareholder base the opportunity to discuss the business with the directors, ask a few questions, and that wasn't possible this year, so we thought it would be good to take a few questions from investors and answer them, which we will do shortly, but also provide a short overview of the company as it stands today, the 30th of March, what our plans are for the future and how we're going to take the company forward. We are here, and it's the elephant in the room in all these resource companies, but we are here to make shareholders money. And we have a slight advantage there because the board of Power Metal and connected parties are the largest shareholders in the company. If we deliver a strong increase in our share price, we benefit alongside the shareholders out there in the investing community. So we are focused on building our company, driving its valuation higher, and building the share price for all of us involved in this investment opportunity. We have a dual model. Now, I know the normal model in exploration is that you raise money, you go and spend it, you cross your fingers and you hope that you'll find something big and the share price will fly through the roof. And if it doesn't, you go and raise more money anyway and carry on. Now, to a certain extent, that is the core of our business. And when we restructured and refinanced the company 2 years ago, that's exactly what we did. We raised money, we started to explore. And we hoped that we would find, over the medium term, a major discovery or discoveries. In the last 3 years, we've raised £2.7 million in 3 separate financings. We put it to work on the ground, and recently, since Q3, Q4 2020, we've been exploring at pace across multiple projects in multiple jurisdictions, and we're focused on making large-scale metal discoveries. But we don't want to rest there. We don't want to be dependent on the capital markets for finance. So we've built a model that enables us to take certain of our interests and spin them off into their own listed vehicles. Because when we do that, we take a cost on our P&L and we move it to an asset on our balance sheet. And by doing that, we can increase the value of our balance sheet and the value of our working capital to fund and finance our business operations. So that's a summation of where we are as a business with our dual model. We are exploring and we are crystallizing. Something that you won't see generally in the markets today. We think it's an innovative approach. It certainly protects our shareholder base and it helps us build a company. But at the end of the day, if we're going to build a company that's 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger, it's all about the projects that we have within the mix. And we've been careful over the last 2 years to build in the right areas, moving into those parts of the world that we thought were highly prospective, would be very attractive commercially, and would lead us to being the leaders in each district in which we operate. Working through our project portfolio, we start with Australia, where we have, in the Victoria Goldfields, circa 2,336 square kilometres of ground within our footprint. 279 square kilometres of that ground has been granted by the local authorities and we're waiting for further grants. We're working on that gold venture with Red Rock Resources and we're seeking to list the core interests of Red Rock Australasia Pty, the holding company, on the Canadian capital markets. So it's one of those spin-outs, as it were. And we're doing that because if you look at the Canadian market, there is a real affinity with the Australian gold scene in Victoria. And we think there is potential for us to secure a significant valuation for certain of the core interests of our joint venture, and also to ensure that the considerable capital, which is not raised by us, but raised in its own vehicle, is available for that project to do extensive exploration and to move those interests forward. Very exciting package for us, for both Red Rock and for Power Metal. In Botswana, we secured in 2019 an interest in the Malopo Farms Complex project. Originally, that was an 18% shareholding in the holding company. And we also confirmed an agreement to earn into a 40% project stake by spending $500,000 on ground exploration and specifically drilling. Well, we're circa $410,000 in. We've paid that money over. I've watched every dollar go out the door. And we're into hole 3 of a 2,500 metre drill programme at the Malopo Farms complex in southwest Botswana, which is targeting large-scale nickel sulfide PGM deposits. We're waiting for assays. We're waiting like you, and we're desperately looking forward to seeing what the technical findings are from the first 2 complete holes and, of course, for the further drilling that's being undertaken right now. Now, we didn't stop there in Botswana because in 2020 we struck a deal with Kavango Resources to form a strategic joint venture over the Kalahari Copper Belt and also the Ditau project in Botswana. In the Kalahari Copper Belt, it's where I've been before with Metal Tiger, where we found the T3 major copper-silver discovery. And we're back just down the road. Geologically, we might as well be next door, but it's 30 kilometres away to the southwest. In the Kalahari Copper Belts, we've done soil sampling, we've done various aeromag work, and we're building up a profile of drill targets to take forward as soon as possible. At the Ditau project, it's rare earths focused in Botswana. Both Kalahari Copperbelt and Ditau are large licence packages over 1,000 square kilometres each. And in Ditau, we're focused on rare earths, and we're doing various exploration work with our partners Kavango at the moment as part of the strategic joint venture. Our plan, as announced to market, is to spin out the strategic joint venture under the name Kanye Resources PLC. So you can imagine where that might be listing, but it's going on to a recognised stock exchange as its own package, and we're looking forward to what happens in that particular part of our portfolio going forward. Moving over to Canada, we secured in September 2020 an interest in the Silver Peak silver project in British Columbia. This is a high-grade former working silver mine, and we conducted some due diligence sampling that yielded up to 15,000 grams a tonne silver. 15,000 grams a tonne silver, super high-grade piece of work. We started some drilling, but we were caught out by the poor weather conditions with the snowfall late in the year. And we're ready to continue drilling as soon as the snow thaws in the spring. Well, it's coming up quite soon. But we've decided that this is such an attractive package that with our partners, we think that this is another spin-out opportunity. So we're moving the Silver Peak project into its own vehicle, and that will be listed on a recognised stock exchange. There is a huge demand for high-quality, high-grade silver projects in listed companies because there aren't that many around. So we think it's a perfect opportunity for us to create a vehicle, put the Silver Peak project in it and list it on the capital markets. In addition, we didn't stop there with Canada. We saw an opportunity in the Schreiber-Hemlo area, which is in Ontario in Canada, to secure a strategic package of ground covering gold and base metal exploration licenses. We started in January 2021. You see, winter doesn't stop us, and slightly poor market conditions doesn't stop us, because that's when we move, when there is a real opportunity to take strategic packages. And we did it pretty much in one go, securing 7 license claim areas, call them projects if you will. And that was Dotted East, Roger Lake, Olga Lake, McKellar, Cocoa East, Enable and Magical. And these are all project packages that are sat near to some highly interesting producing mines or highly interesting exploration projects being explored by others who are doing work, and that work feeds through to positive developments for our own license claim areas. So another significant strategic package in Canada. In the DRC, one of our legacy projects from 2 years ago when we refinanced and restructured the company, we've identified previously a 6.8 kilometre copper anomaly through the heart of our licence. We've done some work with termite mound sampling, generating much amusement for the market out there, followed up by sampling and mapping, and then followed up recently over Christmas and beyond with geophysics, ground geophysics. We're looking for drill targets so we can move rapidly into a drill programme. Our work has confirmed alongside the copper, cobalt anomalies, so the project is building in attractiveness and value. And hopefully, in the not too distant future, we can confirm the findings of the geophysics work and we hope move into our drill part of the programme. Alongside the exploration work, and you'll find this is a feature of most of our operational activities, we're doing some corporate work too, because we're converting the exploration license into a 25-year production license, and that process is in the advanced final stages, so hopefully we'll be able to confirm that we have a production license over that property also. In Tanzania, we're working with our partners Katoro Gold at the Haneti project. Now, I used to call this the Haneti Nickel project, but it's really a polymetallic project. It's a large area of ground in Tanzania. Power has a 35% interest and Katoro have a 65% interest, and it covers all sorts of different commodities. Now, our focus at the moment is nickel sulfide PGMs, a bit like Malopo. But in addition, there are multiple gold areas. There's lithium, there's copper, there's rare earth. So it's a real mixed opportunity exploration-wise across the commodity spectrum. We recently completed a rotary air blast program drilling 1,965 metres, so I remembered the exact number, of drilling, and we did that in 2 target areas where we're specifically looking for large-scale nickel sulfide PGM deposits. The rotary air blast drilling program goes down circa 40 metres, and it gives you information from deeper down and tells you where to point the diamond drill holes that really drill deep into the target zones to look for those major discoveries. So it's part of an exploration process. We're waiting for the assay results to come back from that program, and we are working with our partners at Katoro on various other elements of taking the exploration work across this incredible polymetallic project forward. And then finally, in the USA, we have the Alamo Gold Project, something we engaged with originally in late 2019. We went out to site in January 2020, remember those days when you could still travel? And we did various work on this during 2020. It was quite difficult to have the normal flow of business activity because of the COVID-19 related restrictions, but eventually in summer 2020 we agreed the final structure of a transaction to acquire through an earning up to a 75% interest in this project. It's situated in Arizona. So it's part of a great mining heritage. The Nevada, Arizona area is super from a mining perspective, but it's a new prospective piece of ground that we've been working on carefully with our partners in the background. As we've been building this project, we've been acquiring new areas of ground as we find out more from additional fieldwork programs. And we had a program complete in December. Just finished a few months ago. We've had the reports back and we're working through them at the moment to determine the next exploration and corporate steps as we move forward. So that's our portfolio and that's the latest position on each. We have a wide-ranging set of interests. We have precious metals and to a certain extent base metals in North America. We have precious metals and base metals in Africa. And we have a precious metals focused set of interests in Australia. Our projects, generally speaking, although not always, are focused on large scale opportunities. And that may be because we're looking for district scale discoveries. Discoveries that can change the whole nature of a particular exploration opportunity and turn it into a major phenomenon. And that's what happened back in 2016 with the discovery of T3 by Metal Tiger and MOD Resources. It changed the lives of our shareholders by creating considerable value just through one discovery. We're also building footprints in our areas of operation. So we're not going for the occasional license, we're going for strategic holdings in a particular area of interest. Because if we are the main player or one of the main players in a particular district, it makes us highly attractive to other people who come in and take a look at what we're doing, perhaps later on down the road. And we're looking to build in every way in our operations considerable value for shareholders. Well, this is an easy question to answer because I'm the largest shareholder in the company and the board hold a fair amount of stock. So rest assured, shareholders will benefit in the most optimal way possible. There's lots of different ways. First of all, of course, as we build our working capital through spin-outs, which is the aim, the strength of our company grows, our working capital increases. We can invest more in exploration, we can do more high-impact programs, and we can build our business that way. Of course, as we do multiple spin-outs, then our balance sheet grows quite considerably, and that then gets compared partly to our market valuation, and we can drive the market value up through that work. Two, now there is the issue of the more direct involvement. So how do we bring shareholders in? I would like as an objective in the round to bring shareholders into the IPOs. Now, first of all, I know some questions have come in about can we participate in the IPOs? Well, we're looking at that process. It's actually quite complex, but complex doesn't faze us. If we can find a distilled solution down to bring shareholders in, if they want to, into IPOs, we'll look at it. Might not happen on the first one, might not happen on any specific one, but as a general policy, it would be great. Secondly, we're going to take all this stock in from these IPOs that we do, and at some point, of course, our working capital will swell, and we've made a decision really in the business that we want to say to shareholders, hey, if we build our working capital to the extent where we think, it's high enough now, thank you very much, we want to think about distributions, and that's why the announcement a couple of weeks ago said that we were looking at shareholder distribution updates and the procedures and processes we have to go through to make that happen. So yes, distributing is in our mind as well, where we can distribute either cash through a traditional dividend potentially, or we can distribute shares in some of the holdings. Quite an important point is we have to do it in a tax efficient manner, so we're looking at that as well to make sure that we don't penalise our shareholders through distributions. So lots of different issues that we're going through. We're dealing with accountants, lawyers, tax advisors, everybody, to make sure we manage these IPOs in the right way and that the benefits as much as possible return to shareholders. I'm just going to sit back and think about the greatness of POW. When you do 40, 50, 60, 70 hour weeks and it starts to build up, you do begin to wonder about greatness a little. I don't actually see we're empire building here, so it doesn't worry me that much about greatness. What bothers me is that we have an efficient business growth model, and then an efficient spin out for those interests that we think are suitable, and then an efficient distribution model to make sure our shareholders benefit. Yeah, it's a question I get asked quite a lot about which is the main driver of value for the company, or where will the first discovery be, or is Australia going to be the biggest IPO? The genuine answer is at this stage we don't know. As a business, we've built to a level of diversity portfolio-wise that I could never have imagined possible back 2 years ago when we just taken this company through a restructuring and refinancing. We've had opportunity after opportunity come through the door, and we've seized them and taken them. We think across our 9 projects, 7 under exploration right now, 2 waiting for the spring thaw, 3 in readiness for spin-out mode. We think there are multiple opportunities for major discoveries. We have district-scale interests in Botswana with Malopo, in Botswana with Kanye, in Australia with our gold joint venture there, with Haneti in Tanzania. So I wouldn't predict, which part of our business is going to generate the most value. I've always been a lover of warrants in the companies that I've worked with. They've been tremendous for many companies. You look at some of the best performers in the market that we've seen of late, with Greatland Gold, with Eurasia Mining. They've had dramatic amounts of warrant conversions go through. What the warrant conversions do is they provide a source of finance that's smooth, that feeds into the company in line with share price performance. It also feeds in line with the underlying warrant holders' risk profile. So they don't come in all at once, they tend to come in a smooth fashion over a period of time. They are often attached to financings that are undertaken when perhaps in the market, for example, 2019 and 20 with Power, when we issued financing warrants, they come in at a time when it might be tricky to get a decent levels of financing through without a package including warrants. And we've raised as a business £1 million in February 19, 700,000 in December 19 and £1 million in July 20. They've all had warrants. As investors will know, the original 2-year-old warrants, apart from the directors, are fully exhausted, so they're gone. We've eaten through a large number of the December 19 warrants and a large number of the July 20 warrants. The money that came in with the original financings enabled us to build a portfolio. The money that's come in through the warrant conversions has built a plus £3 million working capital position, which has enabled us to be strong, bold, and to build this business. If I did not have the original financings in place and I didn't have the warrant monies in place, the business would be half or less of what it is today. It's made us what we are. Is there a little bit of churn going through on occasions with regard to warrant conversions? Yes, of course there is. And I am the largest shareholder, so I suffer, if that's the right phrase, from that as much as anybody else. We've burnt through a large proportion. We think that we have the right business and the right momentum to burn through the remainder, and then, of course, it becomes slightly more freely traded, and people will worry less about warrants. But I want to go back to that point, that we would not have the business we have today were it not for the original financings and for the warrant exercises we've seen over the last 6 months that have made us what we are. Yeah, we've had quite a few questions in and around specific IPOs and generally. Australia, I think we flagged for some time that we were looking to take the interest in Red Rock Australasia, the gold joint venture company, into a North American listing. We've been a bit more specific with Canadian capital markets recently, and we're moving ahead with the process with the appointment, as announced, of the advisors in Canada to move this to the next level. It's a question, when you do IPOs, you have to get the balance right. If you move an interest too early before you've got to a certain stage of value recognition, you won't get full value for it, and you struggle with your valuation and you struggle to get things away. We've only recently had granted licenses come out of that exploration application package, and they're starting to come through now, and as each comes through, the value, inherent value of the package builds, and it's an obvious time now to start moving aggressively down the road of the IPO route with the Australian interests. Had we have done it sooner, it would have been too soon. If we left it too long, no one would believe us. So we're just in that sweet spot, we think, for moving it forward. As for the other IPOs, the Kanye Resources strategic joint venture with Kavango is moving forward at pace. There's huge amounts of work being done in the background, and it's the same with Silver Peak, the silver project in British Columbia that's moving into its own vehicle into a listing. Again, we're moving forward at pace. We will always update the market when there are material developments. I know some people don't like the regular updates that we put out, and maybe some of the other companies that they're invested in don't give them that much news, and they feel a little bit sad about that. But we will always let you know, Power shareholders, what's happening with these IPOs. Yeah, we have an immense business, 9 projects, 3 continents, North America, Africa, Australia. We've been through the COVID-19 restrictions, and if our business model wasn't built the way it has been built, pretty much from the start, we would have been in trouble, in fairness, because you can't fly out and see people. It's not easy to control everything, as it were, from London, unless you have the teams in situ in different jurisdictions managing operations. People that can manage the managerial, the operational, the accounting, the technical, and all those different features. So we've been fortunate on that. We are running quite an active program. Since the COVID-19 restrictions eased a little bit, it naturally seemed to occur that our operational activities went up a level with exploration at the back end of 2020. So there's huge amounts going on. Now, personally, I didn't want to have a big recruitment process within our company, bringing in the operational manager and the investor relations manager until we'd had a real build-up in our working capital. Now, do we get operational slippage? Yes, of course we do. If you want us to have no operational slippage as a business, well, we cease all operational activities, because big exploration programs with big drills, with complicated machinery, with borders affected by COVID-19 restrictions on occasions, these things all have an impact. So we manage them. In the main, I think we're comfortable that we're building up great operational speed, we're doing things efficiently, and we're avoiding too many major problems, which is great. If we did have major issues, we'd have to come and tell the market. If it's things we manage on a day-to-day basis, we just crack on with it. So you might see from time to time certain things will slip. I do try and avoid giving particular deadlines because I don't want to become a hostage to fortune. But at the moment, we're running, I think, pretty well across the board. We're an open business. If you have any questions about our company, send them to investorrelations@powermetalresources.com. That's investorrelations@powermetalresources.com. Now, it's not just me. It's not just the board. Our team has been growing. We have a new operations manager. We have a new investor relations manager. So your emails will be answered because I get shouted at if I miss something at the moment, whereas before, of course, I could casually forget that I had the email in, but now I can't. So you have any questions, you get in touch with us and ask. We will always obey stock market rules, but we would be delighted to answer any questions or queries where we can. Thank you.